Alright, I'm out here in Orange Beach, Alabama, and it is hot. It is July in Orange Beach, and we are cooking. We're probably holding about 95 to 100 heat index, if not more. So, this video, I know I normally do reviews, but this video is actually going to be more of a tutorial for the lures to use, the most common lures to use in Orange Beach, Alabama. Now, disclaimer before I get started, this is specific to Orange Beach, Alabama. A lot of people out there are going to disagree with my tips. They're going to disagree with the information. This is for Orange Beach. I know what I'm talking about. I've been doing it a long time. So keep that in mind as I'm going over my review and my tutorial. Now, as you can tell, I'm in an amazing spot for fishing. This place is awesome. I know I normally tell you guys, but unfortunately, I can't tell you this time exactly where. I can tell you that behind me, that's Foley Beach Express, and that's all I'm going to say. So, got a beautiful place behind me here. A lot of little coves, I call them coves, little spots to drop them in. So, something that you want to keep in mind when choosing a lure in Orange Beach, Alabama. The number one hindrance you're going to have is water level. We don't have 10, 12-foot lakes that are freshwater besides Lake Shelby. This isn't Lake Martin. We don't have a lot to work with for freshwater for depth. So the first thing you want to keep in mind is depth. How do you figure that out? Well, you got to drop something in there. You got to drop something in there that's reasonably heavy. You can put a drop shot on it, whatever you want to put on it to get it down in there. I suggest maybe a square bill or square bill crankbait's probably going to be your best, or round bills. I have them. What that's going to do, that's going to tell you, for one, how deep it is and what the bottom's like. And what I mean by that is, are there any rocks? Are there any laydowns? Do you have logs that you're working with? That square bill crankbait is going to tell you by bouncing off of things what's down there. I can go ahead and I can show you kind of what I'm working with my square bill. This one's actually going to be a round one. It's got a lot of color to it. As you can hear, it'll attract a lot of bass. It's lead weights inside. It's got that round bill. It's going to hit rocks. So what's going to happen is it's going to sink. It's going to go to the bottom. It's going to hit rocks. It's going to hit laydowns, whatever's down there. It's going to tell me exactly how deep it is and what I'm working with. Then at that point, you know what you can use more specifically to that area. If you discover that there's a lot of rocks and laydowns, stick with the crankbait. You know, kind of work with it and see how you do and what you get out of it. If you discover that there's nothing down there and it's reasonably shallow, you may want to go with something like a top water. I am not an advocate of top water in this area just because they're not that aggressive bass. Even during season, really not that aggressive. They're not 8, 9, 10 pounds like up at, you know, North Alabama, other places. 5, 6 pound at the most. So they're not really that aggressive. Top water, if you're going to use it, I suggest having a few spoons and doing it worm style, baby. That's what it's up to. That's how you do it. That's what I use. It's going to be that green pumpkin, and I'll tell you why here in a second. So, you discovered that there's not much down there. What do you want to use next? I mentioned before that it's a green pumpkin color, and here's why. If you look behind me, you see it doesn't look very blue. It's pretty greenish brown, actually. And the next thing you need to figure out is water quality. Obviously, water quality, visibility, that's another thing. If it's that greenish brown color, you want to match the color to the lure. It's that simple. So therefore, you want to go with that green pumpkin color, as I said beforehand. So, my personal favorite is going to be the swim bait. The swim bait is an amazing lure. It gets them every time. Doesn't matter how big or small, it's going to get them. It's matching the same color as the water quality, the watercolor. Got a little blood on the bottom there. These swim baits are amazing. Now, if you want to go a little smaller, you can. That's up to you. I'm trying to find it here. You can pick that up at Walmart, Academy, wherever. It's your basic swim bait. It's just the spoiler shad. It's got that shad color and texture to it. I use that every time and it works amazing. Every single time. So swim baits are going to be your best friend in this area, plain and simple, especially when you're working with water that's that dark color, that dark greenish brown, as you can kind of see behind me. So definitely those are my go-to. The next thing that you can do if you don't want to work with that swim bait is you can go old-fashioned style with that plastic lizard. I mean, this thing's that same color. It's that green pumpkin that I was telling you about. I got it Texas rigged. so it's weedless. That's another thing. If you discover that you're working with a bottom that has a few laydowns, maybe not rocks per se, but there's just some vegetation that's there that you don't want to get hooked up on, Texas rig it, make it weedless. Plastic lizards will work every time, plain and simple. I like to switch it up with those as well. So anything that has a trailer tail on the back of it, you're gonna be in good shape. As of right now, this is kind of what I'm working with. Got a drop shot on there, and it's gonna get it done. So 5 things you want to keep in mind when being an Orange Beach freshwater fishing: depth, clarity, color. You definitely want to be concerned with the time of the season, whether it's pre-spawn, post-spawn, and then how aggressive they are. That's the most important thing. It could be the right season, they're just not that aggressive. It could have to deal with the time of day. It could have to deal with if you're attracting them enough. You have to understand, if you don't have that lure that works after 4 or 5 times, you got to switch it up. It's just that simple. So those are 5 points you want to keep in mind: clarity, depth, what your bottom looks like, time of season, aggressiveness, all that stuff. That's what you want to keep in mind. Again, this is for Orange Beach only, so don't criticize me and say, oh, that's not quite accurate. It is for this area and what we have to work with. We don't have 8, 10, foot lakes like Lake Shelby, like I said beforehand. So usually do reviews. This one's more of a tutorial. I will keep mixing in salt water. I'm gonna go to Little Lagoon, Gator Lake. Probably never heard of that one before. I'm going to show you what it's all about. Keep sending me your suggestions. I will check them out. I will continue to review them. I'm also going to be doing a little more tutorials for those tourists that are coming down to Orange Beach. So like and subscribe. Keep sending me your suggestions, and I'll get it done. Thanks. Have good fishing.